ओके स्टूडेंट्स, आज हम लोग मई जून 2018 का वेरिएंट 2-1 पेपर सॉल्व करेंगे। स्टार्टिंग सेक्शन है, आंसर ऑल द क्वेश्चंस in this section, answer in the space provided. So in question number 1, cyclists travel along a straight horizontal road as shown in figure 1.1. Describe how the average speed of the cyclist can be measured. In your account, suggest what equipment is used, the measurements that are made, and how the average speed is calculated. So, in order to find out the value for average speed, we must have to mark the 2 points and measure the distance between them by using meter rule or tape measure. After After that measurement, we will use stopwatch for the time measurement between the 2 points. And after getting all the values put into the formula of average speed, which is distance over time. So first of all, we must mark the 2 points, measure the distance between them by using meter rule or tape measure. Use a stopwatch for the measurement of time between the 2 points. After getting all the values, use the formula to measure average speed is equal to distance over time. Right? क्लियर हो गई सबको ये बात? उसके बाद कहते हैं for the part of the journey the cyclist has a constant negative acceleration. State what is meant by negative acceleration. So first हमें ये पता होना चाहिए what is acceleration. Rate of change of velocity of a body. जब बॉडी की velocity change होती है, acceleration produce होती है. And acceleration is a vector quantity and it can be a positive acceleration and a negative acceleration. So when negative acceleration produce, or what is meant by negative acceleration, is when the speed of the object decreases or velocity of the object decreases, negative acceleration will be produced. So it means decrease in object's velocity. It means decrease in object's velocity. The size of the acceleration is 1.8 meter per second square. Calculate the change in the speed of cyclist. Calculate the change in the speed of the cyclist in a time of 2.5 seconds. So we all know the formula for acceleration is v over t. So acceleration आपके पास 1.8 है और आपके पास velocity आपको निकालनी है change in speed और time आपके पास 2.5 है. So when 2.5 will multiply by 1.8, so it becomes 4.5 meter per second. Right? So this question comprises of 6 marks. Now, Figure 2.1 shows a man pushing a heavy box with a force F, a frictional force Fx in an horizontal direction. In this diagram, you can see there are two forces that is acting on the box. The first force is called P, which is exerted by this man, and the other force is the friction force created by the surface in contact with the box. So the forces in the box are balanced, and this box is stationary. What is mean by balanced forces? So very simple: forces that are equal, and opposite with no result force, right? The frictional force in figure 2.1 does not produce any heating effect. What happened for the frictional force to produce heating? So when the block will produce heating when it slides over the surface, right? The block will produce heating when it slides on the surface, right? समझ आ रहा है आप लोगों को? Apart from being stationary, describe one other possible state of motion of the box when the forces are balanced. When it moves with constant velocity, there are the two cases in which the balanced forces are acting on an object. If it is complete in a stationary position, the balanced forces are acting on it. If they are moving with constant uniform velocity, uniform speed, so the same balanced forces are acting on it. So when it moves with constant speed, right? Okay. When P is equal to 100 and F is equal to 85 Newton, the box accelerates. The mass of the box is 25 kg. Calculate the acceleration of the box. So F is equal to ma is a Newton's second law, and it will be equal to 15 divided by what is the mass of the object is 25. So it will be equal to 0.6 meter per second square. How this 15 comes? Resultant निकालने के लिए we have to subtract 100 minus 85 in order to get the resultant force acting on the box. A passenger in an aircraft closes a plastic bag with some air inside as shown in figure 3.1. Explain how the molecules of air in the bag exerts a pressure on the inside of the bag. So obviously the molecule that are inside the bag will exert force and hit the wall of the um, uh, plastic bag, right? Which produce pressure inside it, right? So the molecules of air inside the bag exert forces or hit the wall of plastic bag which will produce pressure inside it, right? यहां तक कोई सी बात जो समझ नहीं आई हो? Yes. Okay. Now, when the bag is closed, the pressure of the air inside the aircraft is 80 kilopascals, and the bag contains 500 centimeter cube of air. When the aircraft is on the ground, the pressure of the air inside the aircraft is 100 kilopascals. Calculate the volume of air inside bag when the aircraft is on the ground. So very simple formula, V1 is equal to P2 V2. Take your time and give me the answer of this. Yes, चलें किसको कैलकुलेट करके मुझे बताएं कि मेरे पास फाइनल वॉल्यूम क्या आ रहा है. Okay, if I put P1, which is in the question given 80, so 80 multiplied by, what is V1? V1 is 500, and we have to calculate V2. So V2 comes 400 centimeter cube, right? So we can write 400 centimeter cube. So state two assumption that you made in your calculation in B part 1. Whenever we are using this formula, so we will assume that the temperature is kept constant. Temperature is constant, right? And the other thing that we assume that no force is acting on the molecule, acts on the molecule or acting on the molecules, right? So after that, a woman does work as he raises a flag by pulling downward on a rope. This is shown in figure 4.1. What is meant by work done? So work is force into displacement. So it's a product. So it is a product of force with distance moved. Distance moved with W is equal to F into D is the formula, right? So the mass of the flag is 0.35 kg and the flag is raised through a height of 6 meters. The gravitational field strength is 10 Newton per kg. Calculate the increase in gravitational potential energy of the flag. So always remember the formula for GPE, which is gravitational potential energy is equal to mgh. So m is 0.35.0. So the answer to this one is 21 joules. The unit for potential gravitational potential energy is joule. Suggest and explain a reason why the work done on the rope is larger than the value calculated in B. वर्क डन की वैल्यू ज्यादा क्यों है एज कंपेयर टू जो वैल्यू हमने यहाँ पर कैलकुलेट की है. सो लार्जर फोर्स की वजह से हमें जो है जो कि वुमेन लगा रही है ड्यू टू इट्स वेट ऑन द रोप एंड फ्रिक्शन, इन सब वजूहात की बिना पर वर्क डन की वैल्यू ऑन द रोप इज ग्रेटर. Larger force is needed by the woman due to the weight of rope and friction. इन वजूहात की बिना पर आपको जो वर्क डन है वो ज्यादा है as compared to the value that we have calculated in part B. Okay, G. A student has 3 resistors. Each resistor is labeled 3.9 ohms. 3 watt. He checks the value of the resistance of one of the resistors. In the space below, draw a circuit diagram of a circuit that she can use to find this resistance, including a battery, a variable resistor, a voltmeter, and ammeter in the circuit. So first of all, we will draw a symbol for the battery. This is a symbol for the battery, and then this, and then ammeter, right? And with a parallel to this, this is 4.2 volts, and here the current is 1.2 amperes. This is a simple circuit that we have now. When the circuit is turned on, the potential difference across the resistor is 4.2 and the current in the resistor is 1.2. Calculate the resistance by using a very famous formula. V is equal to IR. V is equal to what? 4.2, and current is 1.2 is equal to R. So the resistance is 3.5 ohms. Shortly after the circuit is turned on, the resistor overheats and gives off a smoke. Explain why it overheats and include a calculation in your answer. So the power rating which is given is obtained by we can calculate the power rating as well by multiplying current with the voltage. So the power that comes is 5.04 watts, which is greater than the 3 watt. That is why it overheats. The power rating given in the question is 3 watt, and the power that we have calculated by multiplying voltage into current, so it becomes 5.04 watts. So you can write it as the power rating obtained by multiplying voltage and current. Voltage and current is 5.04 watts. So which is greater than 3 watts. That is why it overheats. Right? Okay, the other two resistors are also labeled 3.9 ohms, 3 watt. The first resistor is now removed, and the student connects these other two resistors in series to the potential difference of 4.2 volts. State and explain whether these resistors overheat. No, it will not overheat because voltage across each resistor now become half, which is 2.1 volts, okay, to each. Why it becomes half? Because both have the same reading, 3.9 ohms, right? So we can write it as no, it will not overheat. It will not overheat because voltage across each resistor half means 2.1 volts. A steel rod is magnetized using an electrical method. Describe how this is done. You may draw a diagram if you wish. Yes, we can draw a diagram. For that, we have a solenoid here connected with the battery. Connected with the battery. This is negative terminal, this is positive terminal, and inside it, we can put a metal bar here in order to get magnetized. So the steel rod is placed inside the solenoid, inside the solenoid, and the current will pass through it, and the current will pass through it, and the rod become magnetized. Describe how you can check that the steel rod is magnetized. So for that, we can bring magnet closer to it, and one side of the magnet repelled by the other, right? So bring magnet close to it, and one side of magnet repel the magnet. ज़ारा उसको करंट मिल चुका है, स्टील रॉड भी मैग्नेट बन चुकी है, उसके करीब आप मैग्नेट लेके आएंगे तो एक साइड मैग्नेट की रिपेल करेगी, राइट? Question number 7. A person walks across a carpet. As he touches a door handle, he receives an electric shock. Suggest why this happened. So we all know that the phenomenon of electricity is just because of the friction that occurs between the two surfaces that are in contact with each other. So in this particular question, the friction between the foot and the carpet creates the imbalance of the charges, and that causes an electric shock, right? So we can write it, the friction between the foot and the carpet, the imbalance of the charges creates, or in short, we can write the imbalance of the charges cause an electric shock. In spray painting, the small drops of paint with a positive charge emerges from a nozzle. The drops are used to paint the legs of the metal chair, which has a negative charge, as shown in figure 7.1. Figure 7.2 shows what happens when there is no charge on the nozzle or on the drop on the leg of the chair. The drop in figure 7.1 spreads out more as they leave the nozzle. Those in figure 7.2 explain why. So in part 1, they're asking that drops in figure 7.1 spread out more as they leave the nozzle than in figure 5. So because they have the charges coming out from the nozzle have the same charge, and due to the same charge they repel each other. So we can write it as they have the same charge, that's why they repel each other. Explain why the paint reaches the back of the leg. So positive charge is attracted by the negative charge. As you can see, there is negative charge resting on the leg of the chair. So the positive is attracted, positive charge by the negative charges, In figure 8.1 show the transformer connecting an overhead 25,000 volt electrical power line to a house. State whether coil A or coil B in the transformer has larger number of turns. Give a reason of your answer. This is a transformer, and transformer have two windings. This winding, the input winding, or we can say primary windings, and this is the output winding, which is called secondary winding. So coil B have larger number of turns because house need okay ji. So what is the answer? Coil A have larger number of turns than coil B because house need lesser voltage than 25,000 volts, right? ज़रा ये यहाँ पे वोल्टेजेस ज्यादा होंगे ना, तो नंबर ऑफ टर्न्स यहाँ पे ज्यादा होंगे, यहाँ पे कम होंगे क्योंकि हमें कम वोल्टेजेस चाहिए होते हैं ना, 25,000 वोल्ट थोड़ी घर में लेकर आएंगे. So now one purpose of using an iron core in the transformer to increase magnetic field inside coil A. State one other purpose of using the iron core. So iron is, this is the iron core. Yes. So iron is a material that is easily magnetized, and due to the magnetism, due to this property, the flux that is generating uh, between the coil link, yes, this is a magnetic flux. Due to this magnetic flux, both coil will interact with each other. So the purpose of using the iron core is that it can easily magnetize, and due to this, both coils can be easily linked by the magnetic flux, right? So ये आप लोग को खुद लिखना चाहिए, ये आप लोग खुद लिखेंगे, मैं सिर्फ आगे बता रहा हूँ. ठीक है, मैंने आपको बता दिया कि आयरन जो है इज एन इजी, इज हैज अ प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ इजीली मैग्नेटाइज, एंड ड्यू टू दैट मैग्नेटाइजेशन the coil which which is shown in the transformer can be easily linked by uh, magnetic flux. Describe briefly how an output voltage is induced in coil B. So again, because of the changing magnetic flux, the both the coils are connected or connect हो जाएंगी. So due to that, coil B has the induced voltages. ठीक है, तो हम यहाँ लिख सकते हैं the changing magnetic flux induce voltages. Suggest one advantage and one disadvantage of burying a power line underground rather than having an overhead power line. So advantage is if we bury the power line in the ground. So the advantage of that is there is a less chance for the power line to be damaged by storm, right? सेव हो जाएगा आंधी तूफान इन सब चीजों से. और डिसएडवांटेज क्या है कि उसको इसकी जो मेंटेनेंस होंगी दैट विल बी डिफिकल्ट, राइट? तो ये दो पॉइंट से सिंपल, एक एडवांटेज का पॉइंट है आपको मिलेगा, एक डिसएडवांटेज का मिलेगा. तो डिफिकल्टी ऑफ मेंटेनेंस is a disadvantage, and less likely to be damaged by storm is the advantage. So this is section A. Boys and girls, I hope सबको ये क्लियर हो गया होगा. कोई कंफ्यूजन है तो मुझे चैट पे बता दें. जी, okay. In section B, answer two questions from this section. Answer in the space provided, right? So electromagnetic radiation is produced by the sun and travel from the sun to the earth. Some of the statements below are true and some of them are false. put a tick in the box after each statement to show whether it is true or false. Gamma rays are used to kill cancerous cells, but can also cause cancer. So it is true. Infrared is used in sunbeds. False. Radio waves have the highest frequency in the electromagnetic spectrum. No, lowest hoti hai. False. The higher the frequency of the radiation, the smaller is the wavelength in air. True. 2 marks. The glass prism in figure 9.1 is used to split white light from the sun into different colors, right? So draw on figure 9.1 to show the action of the prism on the light as it passed through the prism. We all know that prism is a triangular shape, has a triangular shape made up of with glass. So what will happen when white light enters the prism? It will split the white light into different colors, right? So if a light fall from it, so it will bend like this. It will bend like this. So this is the spectrum that is formed. So the colors are red, orange, orange, and yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Right? These are the color that is formed when the light fall onto the prism. So explain why the prism is split into white light into different colors. White light, when it's split into its constituent color through refraction, the formula, the phenomena that is followed by prism is refraction, right? So from red to the violet color, and with different frequencies and wavelength. If you have the concept of frequencies and wavelength, so you can easily know कि ये जो रेड की जो आपके पास वेवलेंथ होती है वो लॉन्ग होती है, इसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी लो होती है, इट्स अ लेस एनर्जेटिक वेव एज कंपेयर टू वायलेट. वायलेट की फ्रीक्वेंसी कम होती है, वायलेट की फ्रीक्वेंसी हाई होती है, वेवलेंथ कम होती है. इट इज energetic wave. Violet की बात कर रहा हूँ, और red की. तो according to different wavelength and frequencies, the splitting of the light in the prisms happen. ये आपने खुद लिखना है, मैंने आपको बता दिया reason. The earth is 1.510 raised to the power 8 kilometer from the sun. State the speed of the light in a vacuum, and it is 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 8 meter per second, the speed of light. Always remember this number. Calculate the time taken for the light to travel from sun to earth. So V is equal to S over T is the formula, and we have to find out T. To see T is equal to S over V. So 10 raised to the power 8, and V is 3 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 8. Cancel. So 1.5 divided by 3 is the time that is taken by the light to travel from sun to the earth. So it's question number 9. So it comes 500 seconds is the answer. So the sun also produces a solar wind, which is a stream of charged particles in one part of the space. The solar wind is due to the movement of protons and alpha particles away from the sun. The charge of 180 coulombs pass through a small volume of space in 2 minutes. Calculate the electric current in this volume. So we all know the formula for current is Q over T. So Q is 180 coulombs is the charge, and the time is 2 minutes. We convert it into time, put the values, and get the value of current in amperes. Amperes में आपका current आ जाएगा. Okay, compare the table for an alpha particle, a proton, and a gamma rays. Alpha particle की nature is like a helium nuclei. यहाँ पे helium nuclei आएगा, positive charge होता है और stopped by paper. इसकी इतनी penetration नहीं होती as compared to the beta and gamma. ठीक है. गामा जो है वो इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक रेडिएशन इसकी नेचर है. चार्ज इस पर कोई नहीं होता, नो चार्ज, और स्टॉप्ड बाय लेड, लेकिन उसमें बहुत ज्यादा उसकी वो चाहिए होती है आपको, लेड की थिकनेस चाहिए होती है. ठीक है. सो नेवर कंप्लीटली स्टॉप्ड, इसको हम लिख देंगे नेवर कंप्लीटली stopped. Okay, ji. Question number 10. Describe the two difference between boiling and evaporation. Again, I am not writing this answer. I can also explain this. Only explain this. What is the difference between boiling and evaporation? When first consider boiling. What is boiling? Boiling occurs at a specific temperature. We all know that the boiling point of water is 100 degree. So it's a specific one. So when the water reach to this temperature, it boils. So always remember this: boiling occurs at a specific temperature, whereas evaporation occur at any temperature. The part 1. पहले में आपने ये लिखना है: boiling occur at a specific temperature, whereas evaporation occur at any temperature. Now, boiling occurs within the liquid, and evaporation can cause, you can say, cooling effect also by wind. So अगर आप पॉइंट 2 को ये लिखना चाहते हैं कि boiling occurs within the liquid, so evaporation occurs only at the surface of the liquid. ये भी लिख सकते हैं. ठीक है. Explain using ideas about molecule why thermal energy is needed to boil a liquid. So because thermal energy is needed to boil liquid, because to break the bonds, which we call it as intermolecular bonding. उसको क्योंकि जो आप thermal energy दे रहे होते हो, that thermal energy actually do some work in order to break the intermolecular bonding, right? So this is important. So you can write it as, in a simple words, thermal energy is needed to break bonds, work is done against intermolecular bonding, hence potential energy increased. Complete answer. Okay. In one type of bathroom shower, cold water passes through a metal pipe which contains an electrical heater. The cold water is heated and emerges from the shower head. The temperature of the cold water before heating is measured and the hot water emerging from the shower in 1 minute is collected in a container. Measurements and other data are temperature of water before heating, गर्म होने से पहले पानी का टेम्परेचर 16 था, टेम्परेचर ऑफ वाटर आफ्टर हीटिंग 37 हो गया, वॉल्यूम ऑफ वाटर कलेक्टेड इन 1 मिनट इतना था, स्पेसिफिक हीट कैपेसिटी ऑफ वाटर इतनी थी, डेंसिटी ऑफ वाटर 1000 kg per meter cube इतना था, फाइंड द मास लीविंग द शावर। ठीक है, इन 1 सेकेंड। अब इतनी सारी जो डेटा दिया हुआ है इसमें हमारे पास सिंपल वी नो दैट द फॉर्मूला फॉर द डेंसिटी इज D is equal to m over v. So in order to find out the mass, so D multiplied by V is equal to m. So what is density, by the way, is 1000 and 1000 meter cube, right? And the volume is volume कहाँ गया भाई? ये रहा वॉल्यूम। ठीक है, ये 4.6 10 raised to the power -3 है। इसको कर लें तो उसके बाद आपके पास केजी में जो है वो आपके पास वॉल्यूम आ जाएगा। ठीक है, कैलकुलेट द थर्मल एनर्जी गेन्ड बाय वाटर इन 1 सेकेंड। अब आपको थर्मल एनर्जी निकालनी है तो इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल वन। आप सिंपल जो है वो इज इक्वल टू एम सी डेल्टा थीटा लिख लेंगे। एम आपने निकाला हुआ होगा ऊपर से, ये ऊपर से एम है आपके पास, स्पेसिफिक हीट कैपेसिटी आपको दी हुई है 4200 जूल्स, और चेंज इन टेम्परेचर आप 37 में से 16 माइनस कर देंगे तो आपके पास एनर्जी आ जाएगी जूल्स में। 3 मार्क का क्वेश्चन है, बहुत ध्यान से इसको करना है। टू कैलकुलेट द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द शावर, द वैल्यू इन बी पार्ट 2, द वैल्यू ऑफ वन अदर क्वांटिटी आर नीडेड। स्टेट व्हाट अदर क्वांटिटी इज। अगर एफिशिएंसी निकालनी है तो आउटपुट एनर्जी तो आप ऊपर से निकाल लेंगे, आपको इनपुट एनर्जी की जरूरत होगी, वन इनपुट इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी, वो आपने लिखनी है यहाँ पर। ठीक है, डिस्क्राइब हाउ दीज टू वैल्यूज आर नीडेड टू यूज द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द शावर। एफिशिएंसी का फॉर्मूला मैं लिख देता हूँ यहाँ पर, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एफिशिएंसी इज इक्वल टू आउटपुट डिवाइडेड बाय इनपुट मल्टीप्लाई बाय 100, right? It is always represented in percentage. The metal part that contains the electrical heater is earth. Explained by this is necessary in order to avoid electric shock. Okay, ये बिल्कुल सिंपल सा है, क्योंकि अगर ऐसा नहीं होगा so the metal pipe, जो metal का जो pipe होगा, it become live, right? तो in order to avoid, otherwise metal pipe become live, right? Okay ji. Oh, a water wave is produced in a ripple tank. Draw a diagram of ripple tank. Describe how it is used to observe the wave. जो बहुत सुन लें, डायग्राम तो आपको उसको प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी, जिसमें आपको पता है कि एक टैंक होता है और वो इट्स नॉट डीपर, वो डीपर नहीं होता, उसमें पानी होता है, और उसके साथ जो है वो एक वुडन प्लैंक होता है जो कि यू कैन से कि वो पानी की सरफेस को टच कर रहा होता है, और उसके ऊपर जो है वो एक मोटर होती है। ये भी हमने रिवीजन सब किया है लास्ट क्लास में। सो इन ऑर्डर टू फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल the use of the ripple tank is to observe the behavior of waves. So for that we have a wooden plank that touches the surface of the water, and over it there is a motor that has electrical input. And when it gets energy, the motor will start to vibrate, and due to that the wooden straight plank, it will move up and down, creating disturbance in the water, and due to that plane wave fronts are formed. And how we can observe these waves through the screen, we can observe the pattern of the plane wave fronts that are moving. So in order to have spherical wave fronts, we will have a spherical dipper connected with the motor that will move up and down to create disturbance in water. So ये पूरा इसकी जो है वो explanation है, या आपने लिखनी है खुद से. The water wave in the ripple tank transfers energy. Describe how to show that there is a transfer of energy. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि भाई ये बात मैंने अभी खुद ही एक्सप्लेन कर दी थी, अभी जो मैं आपके सामने प्रोसेस बता रहा था कि अब ये चीज कैसे पता चलेगी कि ट्रांसफर ऑफ एनर्जी हो रहा है. तो जब वेव्स प्रोड्यूस होंगी, वेव्स कैसे प्रोड्यूस होंगी? बाय प्लेसिंग अ कॉर्क और बाय प्लेसिंग अ स्फेरिकल डिपर, और कुछ भी आप, या वुडन प्लैंक है, स्ट्रेट बार है कोई, ठीक है, वो जब व्हेन इट मूव्स अप एंड डाउन it produce waves which transfers energy. बस सिंपल इसका ये आंसर है. What is mean by wave front? वेव फ्रंट्स कैसे होते हैं? या तो ये स्ट्रेट होते हैं, ये वेव फ्रंट्स होते हैं. स्फेरिकल डिपर होगा तो इट विल बी लाइक दिस. ठीक है. अब वेव फ्रंट क्या है? द लाइन ज्वाइनिंग all the points that are phase that are in the same phase. बस सिंपल इतना यहाँ लिख लें. The line joining all the points that are in the same phase are called wave fronts. उन्हें हम wave fronts कहते हैं. ठीक है. Figure 11.1 shows the variation in time t of the height of water at same place in the tank for the two waves P and Q. The height is sometime above and sometime below the mean level, which is marked at 0. So state one difference, one similarity of the two waves. Difference तो ये है कि दोनों की एम्पलीट्यूड डिफरेंट है. ये इसका एम्पलीट्यूड ये है और इसका एम्पलीट्यूड ज्यादा है. ऑब्वियस सी बात है, ये सामने नजर भी आ रही है चीज कि 0 से देखें आप तो ये इसका एम्पलीट्यूड और इसके एम्पलीट्यूड में फर्क है. ठीक है. इसका एम्पलीट्यूड ज्यादा है, इसकी हाइट ज्यादा है. एम्पलीट्यूड आर डिफरेंट. तो डिफरेंस तो ये हो गया कि एम्पलीट्यूड आर डिफरेंट. ठीक है. सिमिलैरिटी क्या है? कि दोनों ट्रांस राइट. सो ये आपके पास क्वेश्चन नंबर, अच्छा तो बिल्कुल एंड हो गया हमारा. सही है. द स्पीड ऑफ द वेव, वाटर वेव इज 0.20 मीटर पर सेकेंड. सो आपको पता है कि P की स्पीड निकालने के लिए आप V इज इक्वल टू एफ लैम्डा का फॉर्मूला यूज करेंगे. ठीक है. और इसी तरह से आप वेवलेंथ भी फाइंड आउट कर लेंगे. वेवलेंथ ऑफ P वेव, ये वाली वेव. ठीक है ना, ये आपकी P वेव है. ठीक है. सो V इज इक्वल टू एफ लैम्डा इज द फॉर्मूला